there are many ways to talk about things that we like. There are many ways to talk about things that we do not like. And I want to talk about especially things that we don't like, things that we hate. We should learn this, right? We have to learn about different ways to describe things we don't like because there are many things we don't like. Sometimes you're connecting with a friend. You might share something in common, something you don't like. Or maybe you just want to let somebody know that you have a preference not to do that thing or not to have that thing or whatever it might be. We need to know how to express dislikes. Don't call me negative. I'm not negative. I'm not a negative person, but we do need to know this stuff. So let's just talk about some simple phrases that we can use to talk about things we hate. Okay, first, I can't stand it and it's the worst. I can't stand it and it's the worst. Now, these are a little bit different. One is an exaggeration. One might be an exaggeration. If you say, I can't stand it, stand here means tolerate. So if you know the word tolerate, if you can tolerate something, it means that you can accept something being there even if you don't really like it. Okay, it's okay. I can stand it. If there's a situation at your job, right, and you don't like the situation at your job, but you're willing to allow it to be there and you're not going to quit, you can say, I can stand it. I can tolerate it. I can deal with it. But that doesn't mean you're happy about it. If you can't, if it's worse than that, if you really hate it and it might even cause you to leave your job, then you might say, I can't stand it. Now, we could add to that when we want to talk about the thing we want to say, we would add when. I can't stand it when someone rings my doorbell and then I hit the intercom button and say, yes, who's there? And nobody says anything. I can't stand it when that happens. I can't stand it when I make a cup of coffee and I forget that I made it. And then by the time I get to it, it's cold. I can't stand it. Okay, that's something I can't stand. That means I really, really don't like it. Now, it's subjective, right? So there's no right or wrong answer to when you can use it and when you can't. Use it whenever you want to. It's a very useful phrase. How about it's the worst? Again, very useful. Nobody can tell you when you can and can't use it. Generally speaking, it just expresses the idea that this is very bad. Oh my God. When you make a cup of coffee and then it gets cold, by the time you remember you made it, that's the worst. That's the worst. Or biting into ice cream after you've had a hot meal and then your teeth are so painful. That's the worst. That's the worst. Okay? These are two common, strong expressions to describe things that we hate. I can't stand it, and it's the worst. Okay. Now, what about this one? It sucks, it blows, it's awful. Okay. Now, these have to be distinguished. We hear all the time, it sucks, it blows. Now, actually, I would say it blows is more rude than it sucks. Well, that really blows. I say it here, you could put anything there. Working overtime really sucks. Working overtime blows. Working overtime is awful. All of these generally have the same meaning, but there's a different connotation. When someone tells you they don't like something or something bad happened to them, you know what happened today? Oh, my God. My boss told me that I had to work an extra shift. You know what happened today? We had an extra assignment given to us. Oh, my God. To sympathize with someone, when we want to say, oh, I know how you feel, that's a terrible thing, we would say, oh, that sucks. Or that must suck, right? That sucks. That must really suck. That must suck or that sucks. But we wouldn't say, oh, that blows. Probably not. Blows is definitely more rude than that sucks. And we wouldn't use that one to say that we want to sympathize with someone. That one is specifically, that blows, rude and really strong. And usually for things that we want to describe about ourselves and things that happen in our own lives. So they have a different feeling for sure. That sucks is definitely more common. And by the way, we can use that sucks, or sucks rather, when we talk about our own skill. I suck at tennis. I suck, not sucks, I suck at tennis. I suck at tennis. I suck at golf. I suck at managing people, whatever it is. We usually wouldn't say blow there, just suck, okay? That just means I'm not good at that. Doesn't mean I hate it. It means I'm not good at it, okay? How about that's awful? It's awful. What's awful? Oh, it's awful when you plan a vacation and then it gets canceled. Or you miss your flight. That's awful. It's awful when you missed your flight. That's the worst thing ever, missing your flight. When you want to sympathize with someone and show them that I feel bad for you, you missed your flight. You say, oh, that's awful. That's awful. So you can use that's awful in the same way that you would use, oh, that sucks, to show someone that you feel their pain a little bit, to show a little bit of sympathy. Very common, okay? So these three phrases, that it sucks, that it blows, that's it's awful, or that's awful, okay? Really, really common. All right, now what about these? These are the last ones. It drives me nuts and it drives me crazy. Now these are used for irritation. Irritation. Irritation means something makes us feel uncomfortable. Something makes us feel frustrated. Something makes us feel annoyed. So to be clear, this is not just something that we hate. It's a specific type of something that we hate. A specific type of thing that we don't like. Something that irritates us, annoys us, okay? For example, when someone throws their trash on the ground and doesn't pick it up, if you do that, I will get mad at you. I will be very angry. I might even walk over to you and say, hey, pick that up. What are you trying to make the world a dirty place? What's wrong with you? Pick it up. Sometimes I do that. I don't like it. I really don't like it. It drives me nuts. It drives me crazy when people throw their trash on the ground and don't even think about picking it up or taking care of their city. It drives me nuts. It drives me crazy. Okay? These are very, very common. Now, we could also say, if we want to talk about our feeling of annoyance, we could say, it really gets on my nerves. It gets on my nerves. That's one I didn't put here, but we could absolutely use that one. It gets on my nerves. Or I hate it when people throw their trash on the ground. I hate it when people throw their trash on the ground. Okay? So that's very common. Again, a little bit different than just saying that you hate something. It's a special feeling of being annoyed, being bothered, whatever it may be. Now, if you have a special thing that annoys you that may not bother other people, we would say probably pet peeve. My pet peeve. What's your pet peeve? Well, there's a classic one from a TV show called Seinfeld. There's a character who has one pet peeve. When people do this, she could say, it drives me crazy when people make that sound after taking a sip of coffee. It drives me nuts when people make that sound after taking a sip of coffee. I hate it when people make that sound after taking a sip of coffee. That's my pet peeve. Pet peeve. P-E-T-P-E-E-V-E. Pet peeve. Okay. Now, pet peeves are usually specialized. Doesn't annoy everybody. Special for each person. So those are some ways that we can talk about things that we don't like, things that bother us. All very, very common. Now go out there and complain.